of interaction and they are no longer exist in group communication. According to Baker, the best size in terms of total interaction and greater efficiency is somewhere between 5 and 7 members. Participation and sharing of information is central of the to the functioning of a group. A group can function on the basis of committees or conferences. Group communication is considered effective as it provides an opportunity for direct interaction among the members of the group and it helps in bringing about changes in attitudes and beliefs. Group communication is considered effective as it provides opportunity for direct interaction among the members of the group, changing attitude and beliefs. Communication types on the basis of channels. Communication on the basis of relationship, interpersonal communication, interpersonal group communication. Communication on the basis of channel. Okay. On the basis of channel communication is of two types. They are listed below: verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Verbal communication. Verbal means the use of words in communication process and in design and formulation of messages. In verbal communication, message is transmitted verbally, that is by making use of words such as oral and written. In verbal communication, remember short and simple, acronym, short and simple. Keep it short and simple. KISS, keep it short and simple. Remember the acronym. Keep it short and simple. In order to deliver the right message, the communication must be empathetic. Verbal communication is further divided into following types: oral communication, written communication, communication on the basis of channels, verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Verbal communication is uh, in order oral and written. Oral and written. Oral communication. In oral communication, spoken words are used. It includes face-to-face conversations, speech, telephonic conversation, video, radio, television, and voice over the internet. In oral communication, the communication is influenced by the following factors: oral communication, written communication, two types of oral communication. First is pitch and volume. Pitch is the degree of highness or lowness of a tone. Pitch is the degree of highness and the lowness of a tone. It depends upon the frequency of sound waves. It is the key element in teaching learning process. Teacher's voice, knowing the correct language is main input in speech. One should be loud enough to be heard. When speaking, one should remember to change the pitch in your voice as a monotone voice become boring. As a monotone tone choice become boring, excitement is the indicated by a high pitch and anger by a low pitch. Volume depends upon the proximity and number of people and is measured in decibels. Rate. It is the speed at which words are delivered. One should maintain regularity when speaking because a regular and rhythmic voice makes you sound more confident. Irregular speech may show a sign of uncertainty. Communication can be divided into two categories: dynamic and static. Static feature of communication is the distance one stands from one another frequently conveys a non-verbal message. Distance one stands from another. The distance one stands from another conveys a non-verbal message. In some culture, it is a sign of attraction, while it may reflect the intensity of the exchange. Orientation: people may present themselves in various ways: face to face, side to side, even back to back. For example, cooperating people are likely to sit side by side, while competitors frequently face one another. Posture: obviously, one can be lying down. Obviously, one can be lying down. For example, cooperating people are likely to sit side by side, while competitors frequently face static and dynamic. Static में क्या आता है? A distance from one another frequency conveys a non-verbal message. In some culture, it is sign of attraction, while in other, it may reflect status or intensity of the exchange. Posture: obviously, one can be lying down, seated, or standing. These are not the elements of posture that convey messages. Obviously, one can rely non-seated standing. These are not the element of posture that convey a message. Our legs crossed or unfolded. Such postures convey a degree of formality and degree of relaxation in communication exchange. Non-verbal gesture. We don't need to speak. Just we are telling the things with our body language. Physical contact: shaking hand, touching, holding, embracing, pushing, or patting on the back all convey messages. They reflect an element of intimacy or feeling of attraction. Dynamic feature of nonverbal communication: facial expression, gestures, looking, facial expression, a smile, frown, raised eyebrow, yawn, and sneer all convey information. Facial expressions continuously change during interaction and monitored constantly by recipient. There is evidence that many of these expressions may similar across the culture. Facial expression, dynamic features of non-verbal communication, facial expression, gesture, looking, static features, orientation, posture, physical contact. Gestures, one of the most important observed but least understood. Cue is a hand movement. Most of people use hand movement regularly while talking, while some gestures, clenched fist, have universal meaning. Most of others are usually learned and early, aristocratic. Looking, a major feature of social communication is eye contact. It conveys emotion, signals when to talk or to finish. The frequency of contact may suggest either interest or boredom. Visual communication, as the name suggests, is communication through visual aids. Verbal communication are types of communication. Classification on the basis of relationship: intrapersonal, interpersonal, group communication. Classification on the basis of channel: verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Verbal communication, oral communication, written communication. Non-verbal communication, static and dynamic communication. Static: orientation, posture, physical contact, facial expression. Dynamic features of non-verbal communication is facial expression, gestures, looking. Visual communication, as the name suggests, is communication through visual aids. It is the conveyance of ideas and information in forms that can be read or looked upon, primarily related to two-dimensional images. It includes signs, typography, drawing, graphical design, illustration, color, and electronic resources. Non-verbal communication is usually used to communicate feelings like likings and preferences. Non-communication is categorized into seven types: paralinguistic, that is voice, kinesis, body language, haptics, touch, phonemics, dress and appearance, chromatics, iconic, paralanguage, kinesis, haptics, phonics, dress and appearance, chromatics, iconic. Non-verbal communication is of seven types: paralinguistic, that is voice, kinesis, body language, paralinguistic, voice, paralinguistic means voice, kinesthetic, body language, haptics means touch, phonemics, haptics, phonemics, dress and appearance, chromatics, iconics. These are the seven types of non-verbal communication. Classification based on the purpose and style. Classification on the basis of relationship. Classifications on the basis of channels. Classification on the basis of purpose and style. Purpose and style. Based on the style and purpose, there are two main categories of communication. They both have their um, classification on the basis of purpose and style have their own characteristics. Formal communication. In the communication, certain rules and regulations conveys and certain rules and regulations conveys and protocols are followed. Certain rule regulation and formal on the basis of purpose and style. Two categories of communication. One characteristics: formal communication, informal communication. It can be upward, downward, across hierarchy or authority lines. Informal communication, certain rules and regulations, conventions and protocols are followed while formulating and communicating message. It follows an organization structure. It can be upward or downward across the hierarchy or authority lines. Informal communication, the use of right language and correct pronunciation is required. Correct pronunciation is required. For example, in case an assistant professor has to communicate with college principal, it is usually through the head of department. It is through the head of a department. This is formal communication. Informal communication channels exist only with formal communication channel in any organization. Along with the formal communication, it mainly addresses the social needs of the employees. Social needs of the employees. It is interpersonal and mainly face to face with the use of body gestures. It happens among friends and family. In formal communication, there are two formal rule and no, there is no formal rule and regulation for the communication. A lot of distortions or filterings may take place in is termed as grapevine. It is termed as grapevine, but is informal communication termed as grapevine communication. Classification on the basis of direction, verbal communication, horizontal communication, diagonal communication, vertical, horizontal, diagonal. This is basically formal communication from bottom up downwards. This can be upwards and downwards. Upward means from bottom to up. Downward means from top to bottom. That's called downward. Vertical communication. Lateral or horizontal communication. Communication with people at the same level in hierarchy that are peers and colleagues is termed as lateral communication. This is horizontal communication. Horizontal means at the same level. This is horizontal means at the same level. Lateral communication, they have both formal and informal approach. It is most effective communications, uh, as it is generally not stalled by a chain of command method. This can help in building teams in the organization.